Harold Joseph has served his country as ambassador to the Bahamas, to Japan and South Korea, and, last but not least, to the United States. It was during his 2 tours of duty at the embassy here in Washington that he became friends with Fritz Daguillard and that they began collaborating on a series of projects. I do remember that sometime around 2003, maybe, somewhere around that time, the embassy held a farewell party as he was leaving Washington for his first full ambassador post in Nassau, the Bahamas. And my father spoke at the mic and paid him a very heartfelt and stirring tribute. So I think it was a no-brainer for us to ask Harold to say a few words tonight. So without further ado, Ambassador Harold Joseph.
Dear Rita, Robert, Annie, and all other family members and allies, dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. First of all, I would like to thank the Daguillard family for giving me the opportunity to participate this evening in the live celebration of my dear friend, Dr. Fritz Daguillard. It would take me hours to talk about Fritz because he is a person with many hearts. Indeed, he's a scientist, collector, curator, and historian. It is not my intention to keep you all night here. I will rather talk about his work as a curator and his collaboration with the Haitian embassy in Washington when I was Minister Counselor, chargé d'affaires ad interim from 1997 to 2002. Fritz was originally from Les Cayes, Haiti. He received his classical education at Saint Martial College, his medical studies, first at the State University of Haiti and then at Harvard University. He is the author of several scientific articles published in specialized medical journals in the United States and Canada. Fritz was a person who loved perfection and had a deep sense of art. Indeed, he had a great passion for the arts. For more than 55 years, he collected valuable prints and artifacts relating to Blacks in general, including African American personalities and heroes of Haitian independence. In fact, he had a rich collection of portraits of Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Pierre Boyer, and Alexandre Dumas. Retired from medicine in December 1998, Fritz used his personal art collection to organize exhibitions and prepare a television program on the Republic of Haiti and the image of Black in Western art. Researchers and museums often consulted him to shed light on something that casts a shadow on the history of Haiti or on one of our independent heroes, notably Toussaint Louverture, whom he admired greatly. On many occasions, museums called upon him to complete their collection for important exhibitions. For example, several prints from his collection can be found in the catalog Common Roots, Saint-Domingue, Louisiana, published on the occasion of original exhibition presented by the historic New Orleans collection, open to the public from March 14 to June 30, 2006. Let it be said, this catalog with color reproduction of images, offers stories of individuals rooted in the crossing of culture and redirected across the ocean in search of fortune or freedom. In addition, Fritz made an outstanding contribution in the cultural program of the embassy called Cultural Friday at the Haitian Embassy in Washington, D.C. between 1997 and 2003. Using pieces from his collection, he contributed to 3 cultural manifestations of great historical significance for the embassy, which would like to change the Haiti narrative in the US and present the country in a positive light. The first exhibition, A Jewel in the Crown, held on November 22, 1999, featured Senator Charles Sumner of the state of Massachusetts for his decisive role in the struggle for recognition of the independence of the Republic of Haiti by the United States of America in 1862. It also explored the centuries-old tie between Haitian and African American, including Frederick Douglass, resident minister and U.S. Consul General in Haiti, who helped forge a close friendship between the two nations. It is important to note that this exhibition was also hosted at the Massachusetts legislature by the Honorable Senator Mary St. Fleur of Haitian origin. I still remember that magical evening of exhibition when Fritz, like a tribune, gave a masterful speech to put into context the extraordinary contribution of Senator Charles Sumner to the recognition of Haiti by the US. Legislators, officials, and politicians present there were very proud that Fritz recalled the essential role that one of their own played in the recognition of Haiti. The second exhibition, Journey Towards Freedom, a bicentennial celebration of the Haitian Revolution, held at the Organization of American States in February 2000 as part of Haiti Cultural Week, recounted the deeds of the heroes who led to Haitian independence. To illustrate the battle for independence, Fritz often referred to Victor Hugo, who, in the preface of the second edition of his book, Berg-Jagal, published in Paris in 1832, compared the revolt of the slave of Saint-Domingue to a real battle of titans, where 3 continents confronted each other. Europe and Africa were the combatant, and America the battlefield. The third exhibition, Mysterious in the Glory, Enigmatic in His Glory, was about the Toussaint Louverture. It was presented in 2003 successfully at the Museum of the Haitian National Pantheon, Mupana in Port-au-Prince, at the Embassy of Haiti in Washington, and at the Central Bank of the Bahamas, under the aegis of the Embassy of Haiti in Nassau. The main objective was to commemorate the bicentennial of the death of Toussaint Louverture. According to Dr. Daguillard, Toussaint Louverture, this great figure in the history of Haiti, as famous as he was, no historian can determine for sure his true picture. There is a rather interesting anecdote about this exposition and conference on Toussaint Louverture in Nassau that deserves to be told. Sir Sean Connery, Scottish actor, the first to play the role of James Bond in the 007 movie series, had retired to Lyford Key in Nassau. It is said that Connery was fascinated by Toussaint Louverture prowess. So, after the conference in Nassau, Connery invited Fritz to his home for dinner to talk more about Toussaint Louverture, an evening that Fritz never forgot, which he made reference to when Connery passed away in October 2020. During the year 2013, for several months, I had the opportunity to work very closely with Fritz on the publication of a catalog of the main pieces of his precious collection, Portrait of Black by European artists. This time spent in his company allowed me to discover the dimension and diversity of the man. He was a man of great culture. Each piece, each portrait had a story, a long story that alone could be the subject of a booklet. He described them with a luxury of detail concerning the circumstances of the acquisition at an American or European engraving dealer, the negotiation, the author and style, and his style. Dr. Daguillard had an elephant memory. He was a living encyclopedia.